in Charlotte, you kind of used to losing. It's kind of your DNA.
Light Sports TV, we must discuss. You hear what's going on right now with Scary Terry Rozier. I got the chief with me. The tribal chief is in the building, Chief Bartran. Listen, Terry Rozier held the Hornets accountable in his own right. Surprising, and I want to speak on what he said. He basically said that the Charlotte Hornets losing is in their DNA. And basically you just get accustomed and you used to losing. And it's kind of troubling, and I want to speak to some positives with that. And also I think it could be a little bit of a contradiction when you're speaking on Terry Rozier, because he was one of the ones out there in Charlotte and Vida Loca land, when losing and all of these losses was accumulating and piling up. He too was having himself one heck of a time, and we're gonna break it down. Make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe. Listen, I'm joined right now by the tribal chief. We ain't gonna waste no time. Chief, what's going on with this man, Scary Terry Rozier, calling out the Charlotte Hornets? What does this mean? We're gonna break it down for what it means for Melo, but initially, what's going on right now? The Hornets are under fire.
Oh, come on, Terry. Don't do this once you got a new chick now. You left the old chick behind, now you got a new chick, you want to trash the chick. Terry Rozier, it was the veteran of that losing culture team. Because the question I have for Terry is, okay, what part did you play? What role did you play in the culture that you say is a losing culture? Losing is in the DNA of the Hornets, a DNA that you've been a part of for 5 years, baby. From Boston, from the tradition of Boston. You and and Gordon as well, but you was brought down from Boston to Charlotte, right? To replace Kemba Walker, to hopefully bring some of that Boston, some of that leprechaun magic down to Charlotte. So, don't get on to now that you're with the Heat, and all of a sudden losing is a part of the culture when you were there for 5 years.
Right. Yeah,
I find that interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting. I think I'm happy that the Hornets are being held accountable right now because, like I said, people are talking. They are getting the attention finally because they've been flying under the radar with this losing. No attention. Now it's looking like the national media is about to come their way. They faced the Knicks. We're gonna get to it. You got New York Knicks guys over there speaking on you. That's never good. That could reach Stephen A. Smith, and the last thing you need is him and Shannon Sharp talking crazy about you and your organization, in the morning, and I believe that's what's going to happen. And also, this is troubling. I want to say that I don't think that people are jumping the gun with this because the Hornets was knocking at the door of the play-in. We talk about this losing stuff. When Melo got there, they was right there. They could have made the playoffs. I don't think people remember this. It was part of me, it was 2 seasons back-to-back play-ins, and they just got blitzed in both of them games. It was Indiana and it was Atlanta, so I think that this is kind of, they had some injuries, they had some bad luck, but what about those 2 years when Melo got there? It looked like they was on the up and ups in the trajectory. The organization, like I said, they are. I don't want to hold too much on the players on this because it's all over the place, man. When you discussing this losing, what do you think about that? With them knocking on the door for those 2 playing games, why do you think people not crediting that? Because they was on the cusp of winning, but you had the Miles dynamic, all the injuries, it's crazy.
Janet Jackson has a song, Flight, a hit. It says, "What have you done for me lately?" 2 years ago, the East was a different East than it is now. A lot has changed since then. The job of the organization overall is to continue the momentum, right? Now, you can't control injuries and the unfortunate incident that happened with Miles Bridges off the court. Those are all out of your control, right? But the way that this thing is consumed, people are in the moment, Flight. There's people, whatever happened yesterday, unless you have a banner, unless you have a ring or a banner hanging from hanging from that ceiling of from your arena, people forget real fast. So your job is to continue to build the momentum so that it can't be what we almost done. It can be what we've done, and you can continue to build on it. Now, if the organization has failed to continue the momentum, then that has to be put on Mitch and the leadership in the Hornets for not continuing the momentum. And ultimately, even the ownership group, which has changed hands now. So, and the dynamic also changes, Flight, because Lamelo is signed to a big deal, $250 million. So now that raises, unfortunately, fair or not, that raises the stakes because more money is now tied into Lamelo Ball. And so now this scrutiny has increased. And though he was, in my opinion, he was kind of thrust into the fire now. But now it's their job, with this new leadership and new ownership, hopefully, to now begin to build around Lamelo in a way that when they reach the play-in again, that they'll be able to get into the playoffs and begin to make their mark into the playoffs, and hopefully with the right pieces, go further than they've been before. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Chief. I think that is definitely crazy. I hope that the Charlotte Hornets could get back to that. Obviously, this year is over with. Next year, hopefully something happens, but they have to put the right tangible components here in terms of personnel on the court. I don't believe that this team is suitable for today's NBA. Every other team has like multiple versatile different players. I think the Hornets is very one-dimensional. The offense is very, calculated. You know what's going on. Like it's very predictable. You give it into Melo, and it's just do your thing, Melo. And like I said, there's no one-man shows in the NBA no more.
Right.
That's over with. LeBron James finished that off. You got to put pieces around, these players, multiple guys that can do multiple different things. Now you lucked up with Miller. Mark Williams is a good player, but he's clearly having injury issues. Hopefully this doesn't linger. But you got to get multiple guys like that. It's going to take a full effort in here. It's going to take something drastic. But I hope it all works out. Do you think that a turnaround could happen for next year?
They are preparing for it. We'll see what happens. Rozier opened up a lot of money for the Hornets. They got a nice chunk of money from that trade. Hopefully, depending on what they do with Cal and Gordon, maybe more money can come. They look like they're collecting picks and assets. They're not necessarily looking to take on like contracts, or if they take on contracts that can be turned over real quick. So that hopefully in the summertime, they'll have a high draft pick, because they shouldn't be trying to get in the play-in this year. So they should have a high draft pick, hopefully a lottery, money to spend, and assets to keep or to move around to make the big move this offseason with new leadership.
Absolutely. Make sure you hit the like button, and most definitely hit the subscribe button. It's Flight Sports TV. Shout out to the Chief.